Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining today's webinar. Today's webinar will be hosted by Mark Barrow, one of our long-term experts on 3D Experience and Solidworks. Mark will show us how to use Solidworks connected to the 3D Experience platform to drive design innovation and productivity on the cloud. If you have any questions during the webinar, then please type them in the chat box and we'll have a Q&A session at the end. And with that, let's dive into the content. I think the stage is yours, Mark.
Thank you, Robert. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this morning's webinar on Solidworks connected to the cloud. So, just to set the scene a little bit, I think, at the beginning, over the last 10 months or so, the majority of us, of course, have had to adapt to a new normal of working remotely away from the office a lot of the time, and I've certainly spent a lot more time in the home office than I'd like, and I'm sure many of you are all in the same situation. And without the right tools, of course, this working environment can present some real challenges, especially when trying to continue designing and developing your products in SolidWorks efficiently, and not only with your own colleagues, but also if you're having to collaborate and share SolidWorks designs with stakeholders outside your company too. And that's, of course, all without the added distraction of your kids running around in the background, potentially. And there are a number of options that can help you get by, but all of them really aren't without their challenges. You can use a shared Windows folder over a VPN connection. Now, this can provide a secure access and storage, but connections can be slow and folder permissions cumbersome to configure to make sure everybody has the right access level. And you also need to make sure, of course, that your server is backed up on a regular basis. And generic cloud storage solutions can offer a bit more flexibility, but these solutions don't understand the interdependencies that can exist between SolidWorks files. So you tend to find if you move files around between different folders outside of SolidWorks, you can easily get yourself in a bit of a mess where a situation where assemblies and drawings, for example, suddenly can't find their dependent parts when you attempt to open them, which is never good, of course. And when sharing content externally, the recipient is going to need to have some relevant software installed to view and review a design. Having to install extra software isn't always a great experience for your client when you're trying to share content with them, especially if you're just asking them to quickly review a design proposal, for example. And of course, you could just store everything on your laptop or workstation hard drive, and I'm sure most of us have been guilty of that sometime or other. I know I certainly have. But what happens if the hard disk fails or you need to share content again with your team members? So these solutions all have their pros and cons, but what they also miss is the collaboration aspect. So we typically tend to rely on sending emails to communicate, but even on the smallest design projects, there can be a huge amount of information to manage, and relying on email can get pretty overwhelming and pretty difficult to keep track of everything. So storing and managing and collaborating on design data at the moment is a challenge that every company faces. And now with many more teams working remotely, the big question really is how can we securely centralize our data, improve collaboration and design concurrently while maintaining our design tool of choice, SolidWorks. So using SolidWorks in combination with the 3D Experience cloud platform offers some big advantages over some of the solutions I've just talked about. And it does it by delivering a very SolidWorks focused, collaborative, cloud-based environment that connects all design project stakeholders, ideas, design data, and solutions in one place. So let's take a look at the solution in a bit more detail then. And to do that, I'm going to use an example from SolidWorks customer Square Robot. And Square Robot are a company that design and develop autonomous, submersible, hovering robots that can inspect the interiors of full petroleum above ground storage tanks. And in order to successfully create an autonomous solo piece of technology to explore these tanks, Square Robot have leaned on various SolidWorks solutions. And Square Robot work with SolidWorks CAD and the Cloud 3D Experience platform to use the data and lifecycle management solutions to facilitate remote design and collaboration. So let's take a look at one of our examples, and we're going to follow a small design team to see what it looks like to store and manage SolidWorks data in the cloud connected to 3D Experience. And the team are going to be working on refining the design of one of their autonomous robots. So in the first part, you'll see how 3D Experience provides a fast and easy way to store, manage, and share design data with the convenience and security of the cloud, whether you're working on your workstation or using a mobile device. So what we're going to do, first of all, is start by dropping in on Eric, who's one of the engineers, as he starts his day working in Solidworks. So Eric begins by connecting his Solidworks session to the cloud directly from inside the Solidworks task pane, and just by simply logging in and entering his credentials. And straight away in the top right-hand corner, he receives a notification from his manager, Megan. And just by clicking the pop-up, that opens up the 3D Swim collaboration area in his task pane, where he sees the discussion thread involving a new design request. And we can see that he's being asked by Megan to add rollers to an existing assembly. So next he just initiates a search on the cloud for the related SolidWorks design, and then he drags the assembly into his SolidWorks session. And the assembly and its related components are all downloaded to Eric's workstation. And it's just that simple to access his SolidWorks data that's securely stored in the 3D Experience platform. Now, before making any changes, however, he wants to make sure that no one else can work on the design at the same time as him. So he goes ahead and reserves the assembly to give himself right access. So with 3D Experience, design teams can easily work concurrently on the same assembly stored on the cloud, and this provides complete control over who's working on which component and when at all times. So let's fast forward a few minutes, and Eric has made some design changes. The status column in the task pane keeps track of the modifications that Eric has made, highlighting the changed components with an orange disk, and the status column will also highlight any concurrent changes made by team members since Eric last opened the assembly. Before saving back to the cloud, he wants to know where his assembly is used. The Relations app gives him a graphical view of all of the parent-child dependencies, and he can find the top-level assembly and then open it right into his session, and he sees the familiar options to open the model resolved, lightweight, or enlarged design review mode. And of course, choosing lightweight means he doesn't have to download every part contained in the assembly. So that's a big time saver, especially for when working with these large models that the team typically work with at Square Robot. And with a top-level assembly up to date, he reserves it and then goes ahead and clicks Save. So Eric creates a new revision of the lid now that the rollers have been added, and despite this being a pretty large assembly, the save time is efficient because only the models that have changed need to be saved back to the cloud. Solidworks connected on to 3D Experience on the cloud not only provides you with secure storage, but important tools like revision control to help you manage your designs as they develop. So as you've seen there, just in that first part, Eric was able to easily find, open, and modify designs stored on the cloud. And later, Eric still has some work to do that doesn't require working in SolidWorks. And Eric can keep track of his design projects by simply accessing his 3D Experience design dashboard via a web browser. And with his data safely in the cloud, he has the freedom and ability to keep working from just about anywhere on any device. So let's go in and take a look at how Eric can work on a tablet device this time. So Eric starts with his to-do list of tasks, and he's finished making his changes to the roller assembly. So he adds a new revision he's created to the task as a deliverable, essentially adding a shortcut to the item rather than a copy. And this ensures that Eric's manager Megan can open and view the related items directly from the task itself, saving her time having to search for it in another location. Eric needs to locate the added roller assembly within the top-level structure in order to attach a supporting document, in this case a PDF with installation instructions. So to do this, he just switches to another app on his dashboard, and he goes ahead and loads the assembly into the Product Structure Explorer, which provides both a graphical view and a list view of the assembly at the same time. And then just by simply typing in the part number of the roller assembly, Eric can search the assembly structure, which saves him the time of having to, of course, to navigate through the large assembly structure by getting him straight to the item he's interested in. And then finally, to attach the supporting installation instructions, Eric just goes ahead and opens up the side panel and switches it to show the attachments. So from there, he can search for the PDF document, and then he adds it as an attachment to the roller assembly from the search results. And this creates a relationship between the two, which will be visible to the other team members. So now it's time to give Megan an update on his progress. So instead of an email or a phone call or even a web meeting, Eric is going to tailor and share with her an interactive dashboard tab that will contain exactly the information he wants her to review. So first he adds the 3D Play viewing app preloaded with a top-level assembly, and then he grabs a screenshot that he can post back to the discussion thread to get the team's feedback on the new roller design. Next, he launches the Bookmarks app, which is a great way and a really convenient way of organizing all of your content via folders and shortcuts to frequently used or favorite items. And his manager, Megan, really likes this because it keeps her most important data right at her fingertips. And when he's ready to share the dashboard, he just copies a link. And links provide a secure method of sharing content, not just within your own organization, but also with external stakeholders without them requiring a 3D Experience license. And as a last step, Eric opens up his 3D Swim app in a side panel, which gives him access to the design team community. And he just quickly adds a comment for Megan, pastes a link to the shared dashboard, and then inserts a screenshot of the latest design. So in that first part there, you've just seen how 3D Experience provides a fast and easy way to store and manage and share design data, but with the conveniences and security of the cloud, whether you're working on your workstation or you're working on a mobile device. So in the next part, let's take a look how the 3D Experience platform can help streamline design collaboration. So for non-CAD users like Megan, the engineering manager, the 3D Experience platform gives her a simple browser-based approach to managing her team more efficiently. And in this next part, you'll see how Megan can easily view the information shared by Eric from Solidworks, helping her to identify an issue within the concurrent design. So first of all, Megan opens up the design team community in her browser dashboard and sees straight away that Eric has replied to her post. He's included a link that she can add to her existing dashboard, and the 3D Play viewing app and the Bookmarks app are preloaded, of course, with the data from Eric that Megan needs to review Eric's latest design. Now, 3D Play provides a fully interactive viewing environment for even large 3D models just using your web browser on any device, especially touchscreens. There's no SolidWorks license required and no need to have to download any SolidWorks files to view the design. You can do it all just within your web browser on the cloud. So Megan uses the measure tool to verify the proper radius for the roller assembly. And the team are working with a customer in the States, so she switches the units to inches, and the 25-inch radius is confirmed. But looking a little closer at the roller arms, she wonders if there might be some excessive twisting without some kind of support member in between them. So next, she decides to log a record of this issue, and to do this, she uses the 3D Experience Issue 3D app available on her dashboard. Issues in 3D Experience are just one of the many ways that you can track problem reports or change requests. And she kicks off the issue by first adding a description. So next she tags the related models directly from the graphical representation of the assembly. And then finally, she verifies the correct people are assigned to the issue. In this case, Eric will be the engineer tasked with looking into it. So Megan starts the issue, and at the same time, Eric will be automatically notified in his 3D Experience dashboard. With this streamlined method of collaboration, there's no need for following up with an email or phone call. And next, Megan wants to add some additional notes to document the issue. And she's going to do this by adding them directly to the 3D design. So working in context of the issue, she can create multiple views, add various annotations directly to the model. And she can do that either by using her mouse or even a pen if she was working on a touch-enabled device. The markup and all the other relevant information is self-contained within the issue itself and available to all of the other team members assigned to the issue. So while Eric gets to work on the design issue, Megan has a job for another member of the design team, Debbie Designer, and she uses the Collaborative Tasks app to assign Debbie with adding all of the necessary fasteners and creating a drawing in Solidworks for the roller assembly. And as she creates the task, she adds the relevant Solidworks design content as an attachment. And this ensures that when Debbie receives the task, she has everything she needs to get going immediately without having to search for it in another location. And just like with the Issues app, Collaborative Tasks collect all of those communications and assignees and 3D model data all in one spot, and also displays the progress of all of her tasks in a single dashboard tab, giving Megan an overview of everything that's on her radar. So as you've seen in that second part, you've seen there how the 3D Experience platform helped Megan streamline the collaboration with her team, all from a browser on any device and with no software to install either. The 3D Experience platform can really eliminate the need for dozens and dozens of other disconnected software solutions, and it's all about improving productivity and providing a much clearer focus for you and all of your team members. So in the last part then, Megan herself and her team, her customer needs a quick response to this design change. So in this last part, you'll see how using Solidworks connected to 3D Experience, the team could all work together on the same model at the same time. And of course, not having the proper write access and potentially accidentally overwriting someone else's work, these are kind of things that happen all the time with traditional file and folder-based management. And of course, it's even harder when you're all working remotely. So let's see how the 3D Experience platform then enables a more seamless, error-free approach to concurrent design. So first of all, let's start with Debbie. So Debbie has the Collaborative Tasks app running inside her Solidworks task pane, and she sees the task that has been assigned to her from Megan and just drags it straight to her in work state. And the related Solidworks assembly, as we saw earlier, is already attached to the task, so she just needs to open it into her Solidworks session. So to do that, she can just go ahead and open it directly from the task itself. And just like you saw with Eric at the beginning, as the assembly opens, all of the files are downloaded to Debbie's workstation. The change that Debbie needs to make, adding the fasteners, is only a change at the assembly level. So therefore, she needs to reserve the top level assembly for write access. And then we'll fast forward a few minutes. Debbie has added all of the extra hardware. So next she saves the modified assembly back to the cloud so that any other users will be able to see her latest updates. And then the second part of the task was to create a 2D drawing, complete with bill of materials, that Megan will then need to share with the customer. So Debbie just very quickly goes ahead and creates a new drawing, adds isometric and detail views, plus all of the required annotations, and of course, most importantly, the parts list at the end. So all the time while Debbie was working on adding the fasteners, Eric was also getting to work on fixing the stability problem. So Eric views the issue assigned to him by Megan in his dashboard. So the issue management, just like you saw with Megan, keeps track of his progress and carries along all the information he needs to get to work. So he starts by opening up Megan's attached markup. So using the 3D markup to share information is a great way for the team to collaborate. And of course, it helps Eric to see exactly what he needs to do to modify the design. He sees Megan's notes and he can click through the 3D geometry to find the affected subassembly. Megan has attached a roller assembly to this issue, but Eric also needs to reference its parent assembly as well. And he can just quickly use the relations viewer to easily locate the related assembly. And the relations viewer displays all of the roller sub-assemblies and all of the dependencies associated with them. And he can simply drag and drop the parent assembly and add it to the issue that he's working on. And from there, he can also open it directly into his Solidworks session. But this is where it gets a little bit more interesting, because this is, of course, is the same assembly that Debbie is already working on. And we can see here that the red padlock and the tooltip clearly show that the top level is already locked out and reserved to Debbie. But that's fine. Eric only needs write access to the roller assembly itself. The top level assembly is really just there for visual reference in this case. So he goes ahead and reserves the roller assembly and then gets to work adding the stabilizing member. And then next, when he tries to save the assembly, you can see that there are subcomponents that also need to be saved that he didn't reserve. And in these kinds of situations, on the fly, Solidworks provides an option just to reserve those additionally modified files without really causing any interruption to your workflow. And then once the save is completed, the status column in the task pane then changes to show that the assembly is up to date and all of the files are safely uploaded to the cloud, and Eric's fixed the issue and completed his design work. So then just switching back to his dashboard, Eric can move then the issue status to in approval, and then Megan, his manager, will now be automatically notified that the completed issue is ready to review. And since Debbie is still working in the top level assembly, Eric also needs really to let her know that he's finished making the changes. So instead of using email to do that, again, he uses 3D Experience's built-in conversations tool to send her an instant message just right from within his dashboard. And of course, as we saw a few moments ago, at the same time Eric was doing all of that, Debbie still had the roller assembly open while Eric was adding the stabilizing support for the rollers. So how does she get notified of what's changed? So Debbie receives the conversation note from Eric directly inside her Solidworks session. And all Debbie needs to do next is refresh the subassembly to get the latest version with Eric's modifications from the server, and then she's bang up to date. So there was no need to close any files and reopen them. And the drawing, of course, also updates to reflect the changes and is now ready to be saved as well. And then finally, just to close the loop, she returns to her collaborative tasks. But before changing the task status to complete, she attaches the drawing as a deliverable, ensuring that Megan has all the supporting items that she needs to review the task without having to go off and search for it in another location somewhere. And then finally, she leaves a comment to notify Megan and then moves the task to completed, all without leaving her Solidworks design session. So then finally, for one last time, let's go back to Megan. So how does Megan keep up to date of all of those changes that have been taking place? So the one way she can do that is through her notifications panel. And anytime there's a status change, an update or a comment on anything she's involved in, it shows up here, as you can see there on the right-hand side of the screen. And first that she checks on the issue that she assigned to Eric, her original 3D markup automatically shows the latest design changes. Everything looks good, so she marks up the issue as complete. Issue management on the 3D Experience platform is a great way for Megan's team, the Square Robot, and of course anybody needing to log the history of problem reports and change requests. And it's a really valuable tool for anybody that's working in a highly regulated industry. And then next, to take a look at Debbie's work, Megan switches to her Bookmarks app, and she can see the shared drawing there and take a quick look. And all she needs to do is to just drag it right into the 3D Play Viewer to view that drawing. And she's happy with both Eric and Debbie's modifications. It's exactly what she needs to show the concept to the customer. So when she's finished reviewing, she promotes the maturity of the drawing to released. So now it can't be changed for the duration of the customer approval process. And then finally, Megan posts a quick comment on her original discussion thread to congratulate the team on getting this stage of the project completed. So working with multiple designers, accessing the same files simultaneously, I'm sure you know how tricky that can be with traditional file-based storage, but with SolidWorks plus 3D Experience, as you've seen there, concurrent design is easy because the revision control and lifecycle tools are really ready to use out of the box, and users can tell right away who's working on what, so they can avoid common problems like permissions issues, version mismatches, and accidental overwrites. And when there are changes, the various notification tools built into the 3D Experience platform keep everybody in the loop at all times. So it can really help teams design faster together with fewer errors when everybody is working remotely away from the office, and it can be a lot more efficient than just using a Windows folder structure. So now more than ever, of course, companies are looking for ways to centralize and secure their SolidWorks design data in the cloud while streamlining collaboration and really enabling this kind of error-free concurrent design. And for Square Robot, SolidWorks combined with the 3D Experience platform, as you saw in that little example, really made this a reality for them. So in summary, the 3D Experience platform is, as we've talked about throughout the presentation, really is a fully cloud-based product development solution, which means out of the box, there's no server to configure or maintain, and no time-consuming software, database upgrades to manually deploy, which can really significantly reduce your IT overheads while providing a secure environment for storing your design data. So with the tools, you and your design teams can quickly and easily create, review, and evaluate your SolidWorks designs. And you can do all of this on your workstation or on any device, whether you're working in the office or working remotely. And essentially all you need is an internet connection, and you can log in and work on your design project wherever you are. Now, some of you on the webinar this morning already have access to 3D Experience from last year's SolidWorks promotions. So if you are excited about what you've seen this morning and you think it could be a great fit for your company or your design teams, then please contact your reseller. And following the session, of course, I'll be sending out a link to the recording so you can go back and take a look at any of these topics again in a bit more detail. And then finally, before we open it up for questions, to get everyone's feedback, I'd just like to run a quick poll.